Everything you're about to see in this video came from one of those rare chance moments where I just happened to find myself in the right place at the right time. I had set out before sunrise one morning to film, and I just noticed this large bull elk standing still underneath a tree. As I passed him, I thought I could see what looked like a tuft of fur just hanging from his neck. It just looked out of place, but it was really dark still, I couldn't see that clearly, and so I kept on going. Now, if you're new here, welcome. My name's Jake. I film nature shows for TV, and I've recently started this channel as a way of sharing my passion for wildlife in a format that's a little bit more personal, so hitting that like or subscribe button really goes a long way. Alright, back to our story. By the time I got back to the bull, it was a bit brighter out, and now I could see that there was blood. He turned around and slowly went up the hill into the trees, and as he did, I could also see that there was a wound on his back leg. So now, my imagination didn't feel that far-fetched, and I felt pretty confident that this bull had been hunted by wolves and had escaped perhaps moments before I found him. I really wasn't sure if he would survive those wounds or not, and so I just kept an eye on it. And the next day, I started to notice that there were ravens and magpies in the area, and so I gathered my remote camera equipment and I went in there to check it out. I am now on a set of coyote tracks, and I'm kind of following that because if there's a dead bull in here, likely the coyotes have already found it. And well, wow, that didn't take long. There he is, right there. Huh. So he just came right here. Well, it's honestly, it's like, it's cool because it's a really cool opportunity for felling, but it definitely pulls on the heartstrings a little bit. You know, I think just because I did see him suffering so much the other day, yeah, it definitely was a kind of a slow, prolonged death. So that's tough, and just such a freaking beautiful animal, man. It looks like, you know, some birds have been feeding on him. There's clearly, I saw this coyote track, so a coyote's been here, but like, he's pretty much, other than like this little section on the hind quarter here, pretty much untouched. So notice the eyeballs are gone. That's where the birds go. It doesn't really even smell that bad yet. All right, finally got all the gear up here. These boxes right here, they're basically the cameras. So there's Sony A7S IIIs inside. And these are kind of what we call like high-end cinema camera traps. And it's what I use when I'm working on jobs for like various nature shows. And it's also just like, this is my absolute passion in life, is setting up camera traps and capturing like really kind of interesting, unique wildlife behavior. So that's what we're gonna try to do here today. I've got like a variety of different focal lengths here. If you're watching a show, you'll notice there's like a lot of different shot sizes, right? So it's like you have a wide shot, you have kind of like a mid shot, then you maybe have like a close-up detail shot. And when you actually get to your final edit, you can kind of tie all those things together, and it makes for like a really immersive story. I usually start off figuring out like where I want the big wide, where you can kind of see the whole scene, take it all in. You see a little bit of the background maybe. If there's, you know, more than one wolf in here, it'd be great to get all of them in one shot. It's always really cool if you can get like a close-up wide shot, right? So it's like a camera with a really wide angle lens that's situated maybe like right here, just to the right of the antlers, and maybe just tuck it into the tree a little bit. Let's see if it works. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. Just kind of looking up like that is kind of what this camera is seeing. And it's probably gonna be hard for you to see this LCD, but I think that's pretty good. Those 5 cameras are all set. So now I just need to figure out where to put the last few. I'm kind of wondering about this hillside. It's kind of a nice open area with the view, and like, this is surely wishful thinking, but it'd be a nice spot for them to, if we did get wolves in here, for them to kind of, you know, sit down and maybe get a little interaction. That one is all set. This one I'm gonna have pointed on this little trail that the coyote has been taking in and out. This is the trail I followed in here to find the carcass in the first place. A couple shots of them traveling through the forest like that, if I can get it, will be super useful when I actually get to the edit and you try to like piece all of this together. All right, so I've got this little sensor here. This just is gonna survey the area, looking for motion. It's like looking for heat moving. It's like, that's how your security cameras work. So when they detect something, they will send a signal to all of these boxes, and ideally all of them come on and start recording. And I'm just gonna put that on the tree here, and it's kind of facing the carcass, so any kind of movement it will detect. You can see all the final camera placements there behind me. We're done here, so I'm gonna get out of here, cross your fingers for some good luck, and we'll come back and check on these in a couple days. I always feel such a mix of emotions when I leave the cameras. Part of me is excited, but I also know that no matter how carefully I set everything up, so much is still just out of my control. Birds are typically the first to find opportunities like this. And the next morning, a golden eagle spotted the elk. It's pretty rare that I see these birds, and I've never filmed them up close like this before. Later that afternoon, a red fox was lured in. When the snowpack is this deep in the middle of the winter, the smaller rodents that they feed on during the rest of the year are pretty inaccessible. So opportunities like this make all the difference in the winter. Over the next few days, birds and foxes frequently visited, but I found it interesting that there was very little eaten, and after 5 days, the carcass still appeared largely untouched. At this point, the cameras had been out for 5 days, which was longer than I had planned. I knew I needed to service them, the batteries probably needed to be replaced, and if it snows, it can cover up the cameras. There's a lot that can go wrong. And so I had planned on going in the next morning. But the evening before, I got a message from a friend who said he could see wolves on the slope right where the cameras were. Now I had a dilemma. I can either go in and make sure the cameras are working at the risk of potentially scaring off the wolves, or I could hope that the cameras were working and just leave everything as it was. I could not make up my mind. I went back and forth in my head all night, and finally in the morning I decided I'm just gonna go check on the cameras and make sure everything's working. I got on the road, drove about 15 minutes, and there was a semi-truck flipped over blocking the entire highway. The next day, a big winter storm came in and the road was closed the whole day. So basically, my decision to check on the cameras was overruled and I'd have to wait. Finally, the following day, the weather lifted and I went in to check it out. Man, I'm not gonna lie. This is probably as anxious as I've been about checking cameras, well, in a very long time. I really want to get something good here. And there's just, so many things that could have gone wrong. But there's a chance that it all went right, so I guess we'll find out here in a minute. Oh boy. The cameras are covered in snow. This was my fear. It was one of my fears, at least. Now, the question is, though, whether this happened before or after they came. We had that first big storm, and then we had another one last night. I mean, look, this camera is completely covered up. I brought this ice scraper from my car, just figured there'd be a lot piled up on here. All right, oh wow, okay. The elk has been fed on significantly since I was here. Before it was just like the hind quarter basically, and now, oh man, the rib cage is all ripped into. Okay, I like the looks of that. That's promising. Let's check the first card. There's a wolf. Oh my gosh. That is crazy. A lone black wolf approached the elk. From the long guard hair standing up on its neck, it appeared to be a young one. It took a moment to examine all the scent left behind from myself and from other animals that had been there. And then it left, without really feeding. But the following morning, it returned.
This time, it wasn't alone. Another black wolf was following just behind. And the two of them began to feed. It wasn't long, though, before something caught their attention. And I could just barely hear howling coming from behind camera. The sound grew louder, and you can see this tension begin to build. Part of them wants to stay and eat. But something in those distant howls pulls at them in a way that seems to be irresistible.
That's incredible. So what that shows is it was like a 50-50 on that decision on whether I should come in here or not. And they were in here both days. Both of those days I tried to come in. One of them, the semi truck was blocking the road, so I couldn't get here, and I would have come in and scared them off. And then yesterday, there was that snowstorm, and I was kind of on the fence anyway, and I didn't come in, and they were here both days. I'm starting to feel like a real sense of urgency to get out of here, because there's plenty here for them to pick at, and I think there's a decent chance that they're going to come back. I mean, it could be this afternoon. So I'm going to very quickly just do a battery swap and cards here and then make any other adjustments that I need to.
The wolves opening up the hide in the ribcage seems to have triggered a non-stop feeding frenzy for other animals. The elk is now quickly consumed, but 2 more weeks pass without any signs of wolves.
All right, let's see what we got going on here. Oh. Whoa. The elk is not in the same place it was when I was here last time. It was sitting right here next to this camera, and now it's over there. So the other thing I'm noticing is that my camera is gone. One of my cameras is completely gone, and I don't see it anywhere. I wonder if the wolves came back and did this, and they stole my camera. God, I hope I find it. Okay, let's see what we got here.
16 days later, the wolves returned. First, one of the same young black ones arrived. And then, in the background, I could see movement in the trees. It was more of the pack. This time, an older gray one was the first to visit the elk. Followed by the same young black ones. The gray wolf began tugging at the elk, trying to move it out from underneath the tree. I loved this moment because, on the one hand, you see just how powerful this animal is, but you also really get a sense of scale for how large the bull elk is in relation to a wolf.
Well, that's really cool, but I also want my camera back, especially since they took it. Like, it might be cool footage. I think the best play is going to be to ski back down to the car where I have my laptop, and at least there we can just look at the cards a lot more efficiently, and then hopefully somewhere in there is a clip with the wolf holding the camera in his mouth, and we can see what direction they went, because it's just like, even knowing what direction they went, it's going to be like finding a needle in a haystack. But I think if I don't know where they went with it, I don't even know where to begin. All right, let's see what we've got here. Oh, so this shot has 5 wolves in it. That's the most that I've seen on any so far. Oh, okay, there he goes. So he picks up the camera. Wow, it looks like he just walked down the hill with it. It's still in his mouth. Still in his mouth. He just kind of goes out of frame, so you can't really tell. Well, that doesn't help much for the camera. He takes it down the hill, and then looks like he drops it or goes out of frame. But the camera was not on the hill, so they must have picked it up again. Shoot. I guess I'll just go back up there and just ski around in circles and just hope for the best. This right in front of me is like, it's all snowed in, but there are footprints there. Oh, I think I see a black box. Yep. There it is. That was way easier than I expected. That handle has been absolutely destroyed. Look at these bite marks. Oh man, I wonder if it's still powered on. Woo, it is. We can take a quick look right now and see if anything's on there. Oh, that's cool. It comes up from behind the ridge. That's a really cool interframe.
Overnight, the wolves continued feeding on the elk. And by the morning, there was not much left. But other animals still continued to pick at their remains.
Wow, well, it's pretty incredible to see just how none of this elk has gone to waste. You know, I remember when I first came up here and found this guy, you know, I had seen him kind of wounded and suffering before. You know, I felt, it was sad. It was really sad. He was such a beautiful, strong, healthy animal. And, you know, there was a part of me that was like, man, that's a shame. But I gotta say, like, my perspective has shifted a little bit after seeing just how many different animals that his life has gone to support now. You know, winter's it's a really hard time of year. Without winter kills like this, you know, animals like the coyotes and foxes and ravens and eagles and everything else that was in here, like, they rely on these opportunities that are provided by animals like wolves, these bigger apex predators that can take down an animal like an elk. Maybe it's cliche, but it is kind of the cycle of life, and just see it all play out on camera like this, I think it's a pretty cool thing. And it's just a cool reminder to me of how valuable wolves are in this ecosystem. It's easy to look at it and be like, oh, wolves, they're torturing elk, and you know, this poor elk suffered, and I get that. And if I'm being completely honest, when I saw this elk standing there bleeding, I kind of had some of those thoughts myself. Like, I had some of those feelings too. And so I understand that. It really is like a bigger picture. There's a bigger story that's going on out here. And yeah, this guy, unfortunately, his time was up, but he has enabled a lot of other animals to keep going on through a really difficult time of year. I am gonna leave the cameras out here a little bit longer, just in case, you know, maybe we'll get the wolves coming through one last time and just get another glimpse of them. But I think the bulk of the behavior is over. And so, I don't know, maybe I'll leave the cameras out for another week or so. But we'll see. Maybe after this conclusion, we'll have a little epilogue that has one last visit from the wolves.
At last light the following day, the wolves returned. This time with much more of the pack. For a few minutes, this camera stopped recording, and during that time, one of the wolves must have flipped the elk up into this position that looks as though it's staged. And then this mesmerizing moment unfolded that just felt to me like a window into a world that's never seen. Hey guys, real quick, thanks so much for tuning in. I've got a lot of exciting plans for this channel coming up, so if you enjoyed that video, consider dropping a like or hitting that subscribe button, or if you feel so inclined, you can even donate to this channel at the link up in the bio. All of that support really means a lot, and it goes a long way as I'm getting this channel off the ground. Okay, thanks guys, until next time.